welcome to the first meeting of the spring semester. I'm so excited y'all are here. We always have such great turnouts with you guys. Today's speaker is Miss Johnson from Performance Nutrition here on campus. I'll give it away to you.
Hello. So my name is Lajarde. I actually go by Jarde most often. I graduated from LSU in 2013, so going on like 10 years. But just being in this building is so much nostalgia. I actually did a cooking demo with one of my teams with Miss Myhan. All the feels. So I guess I can just do like a journey of me becoming a registered dietitian, what that path was like. It was not straight and narrow by any means. I initially wanted to be a personal chef. And so I thought I would go to culinary school and that would just be like the life for me. And my mom was adamant, like, you're not going to want to work such long hours and be on your feet all day. You should go and get a degree. And so I was like, well, what other field than nutrition? Because I had a love for food. And it worked out perfectly, so no issues on that front. But when I got to LSU, I would say I probably wasn't my most like studious. So I was always smart, I was gifted, took AP courses, but just didn't study a whole lot. Honestly, I never really had to. But the courses here are hard, as you already know. And so just kind of navigating that, coasting through. When I finished the curriculum here, I didn't actually apply for an internship because I just felt like my GPA wasn't great, and so I had this plan in my head that I would go off and build my resume so that I would be able to match. And upon graduating, I started an internship with Nestle, which is one of like the largest food companies actually in the world. And I did that for a summer, and then I started graduate school with hopes of like improving my GPA. And so then the following year I applied and I matched. And at that time, Southern University was one of the only local programs here in Baton Rouge. So as a native, I wanted to stay home. I just didn't want those out-of-state costs. That was my go-to plan. And I matched, and it was interesting because the program director let me know that had I applied the year prior, I most likely would have landed a spot. And so just in my mind, I'm thinking back through, I potentially delayed becoming an RD, but I also gained experience. So one of the things that I always tell people is I do feel like what I learned at LSU absolutely prepared me for being a registered dietitian. And then also just making the most of the experience when you complete your dietetic internship. So I actually passed the RD exam the first time. It wasn't something that I had to do more than once. I will say that at that time, we focused a lot on clinical, and so I thought it was really great that Our Lady of the Lake was one of the facilities where we spent a lot of our time. So now I know that they have Friend U, and so I think that's great as well. Upon finishing the dietetic internship, I actually landed a job at the one place that I absolutely despised, like during my rotations. And so it was a mental hospital for forensic patients, and that essentially meant everybody who was there was either not guilty by reason of insanity or they weren't competent enough to stand trial. So either way, there was some level of mental illness. And the vast majority of the work was just looking at nutrient-drug interactions because of all these psychotropic meds that they were taking, and also trying to see how you could manage their weight. Because with each one of those meds, typically 20 to 30 pound weight gain was just something that accompanied the medication. But before it was over, I ended up loving that job a lot. I stayed there probably 6 years. And so some of the experiences that I got was just coming out of school. It's very hard to know who you'll be as a registered dietitian. It's great to do bedside rounds and to have a preceptor with you, but when you start practicing on your own, it's like, what is your identity? How are you going to build rapport with patients? What is that going to sound like? Who do you want to be? How do you want to interact? And so navigating all of that on your own, I appreciated the experience that it gave me in that regard. And then one of the other things that I really gained was how to provide education for people who often have like this level of confidence that maybe isn't there. In addition, I would say just being very resourceful because it felt a lot like prison. Like you walk through security, we carried a clear bag everywhere. There were often times if you were on a building, it's like you can't go use the restroom without a security officer like unlocking the door to let you through. Things that we don't necessarily think about. Chewing gum. It's like, oh, well, they can use that to stop a door, so you can't have gum when you're on the wards. So those types of things helped me be very resourceful. And what I eventually found was that as I would go on to volunteer other places and work other places, I knew how to take maybe a limited budget and then find ways to increase or enhance what we were able to do and what we were able to provide. And so one of the volunteer experiences that I had was working with Southern's athletic department while I was there completing my internship. So one of the things that I will say is if you match somewhere and they maybe don't have what you're looking for or the experiences that you want to get, always be willing to reach out to other RDs or to strength and conditioning coaches if that's the route you want to pursue and see what opportunities are available. And so because they are an HBCU and just funding looks different, they actually did have like limited resources. And so some of those experiences that I already had allowed me to be able to take what was a limited budget and find ways to really help them. With most of it being meal timing, making sure that they had meals and snacks, making smoothies, what that looks like going to grocery stores, and really asking for donations, seeing what they had available. And because I had exposure to Jamie Meeks, although sports nutrition was like just starting to be adopted by many schools, I knew that was one of the things that she did for LSU as well. I would say after that, I went ahead and pursued just getting my master's because I had already started grad school in that year, and I came out in therapeutic recreation. Following that, I actually just continued to work in mental health, but one of the things that I did was shift from clinical to food service management. And so at that facility, I was able to eventually start compiling our monthly reports. We actually contracted out to a vendor, so being able to sit with their upper level management, go through menus, go through budget, see what that looks like. Also talk to the patients and find out what their food preferences were, what they liked and disliked, and being able to monitor meals. Because if I worked 7 to 3:30 or maybe like 8 to 4:30, we were often there for all 3 meals. They finished dinner very early. But it allowed me an opportunity to just continue to enhance my resume because I eventually started sitting in meetings with the department heads for the entire hospital and also doing presentations with the CEO on like a monthly basis. And so while it was the job that I did not want, it was exactly what I needed. So it gave me a lot of clinical experience, also gave me food service management experience, and just a wealth of knowledge. So I was grateful for that, and it increased my confidence as a practitioner. And so then eventually I decided I wanted to pursue sports because it was what I always wanted. Even when I wanted to be a personal chef, I thought I would cook for athletes. And so in 2022, January of that year, I was like, I know it doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna volunteer at LSU to get the experience, to see if it's truly what I wanna do. And I will kind of cut back my work hours. And so I ended up working 3/12s to get right at like 36 hours. And then I would take Thursday and Friday and come and volunteer. And I still really enjoyed it. The experience at times just felt like mundane tasks, very menial tasks, a lot of stocking, a lot of looking at dates, first in, first out. So things that we've learned, but when you start doing them, you're just like, is this all that it entails? And I think part of that is until you start working and you have autonomy over like your teams, it's very hard to see some of like the patient data that's maybe in the system. But I stuck with it, and in September, I actually became a fellow. And so one of the things that I love about working now is that I do have autonomy over my teams. And so I work with indoor volleyball, I work with men's and women's golf, and I also work with softball. And so it is different from other entry-level jobs because typically you have somebody that provides a lot of oversight. They come with you, they kind of walk you through things, they may ask questions, but I feel like in sports, it's like they expect you to already know. And so they walked with me through like week 1 just so I knew where the locations of facilities were, but there wasn't a lot of hand holding per se. And so I do think that the experiences I got prior to this made me more comfortable in this setting, in this environment, having to sit with coaches and find out what their expectations were, and just knowing how you want, again, to be a practitioner. So when it's time to sit and make like a performance evaluation, for me, I chose to go based on the expectations of my coach, whereas other people can maybe choose to go based on like body composition. So it's totally up to you. But that is one of the things that I absolutely love about performance nutrition, about sports. I like that there are more tangible results with this as opposed to maybe working at the mental hospital. But it also still provides an opportunity to have like rapport and relationship. Because if you're with somebody for a full semester, or if they stay for maybe 3 years, then you really get to build relationship and have influence and impact. So that's kind of the gist of what I do. Some of the other things that we offer or provide would be like hydration testing, which is really simple and easy, but it's always a good way to provide education. We can go to the PNC with our athletes and do some like plate coaching through what they select on the line, or what a performance plate looks like. And then also being there for like competition days. So before an event, after an event, even during, if you travel with the team, you may have like snacks for halftime. If you don't, you may set up a table in the back. But just always wanting to know how you can best serve them, how you can best benefit them. Because we have all this education and knowledge, but if we aren't meeting them where they are, then it doesn't really provide a benefit. So then, if you all have like any questions.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you kind of like shift that mindset from not enjoying the rotation to now being like, okay, like this is my job, like this is what I gotta do? How do you do that? Because we all have our dream jobs, but sometimes you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And job market nowadays, you just gotta go for what you can.
Absolutely. I think that is how you overcome it, is having those honest conversations with yourself. And also trying to find the positive in any situation. So one of the things I realized about myself was like there was a lot of self-doubt. And so if I could actually sit with those situations and be like, how is this gonna benefit me in the long run? And also, how am I equipped to maybe make this better, right? Like you can walk into a situation and feel like, oh, this is the worst rotation, but do you see opportunities for improvement? Is there something that you could maybe share with a preceptor of like, have you ever thought of this? Because one of the things that I will say is when people leave school, sometimes you'll go out to do your rotations and you'll realize that they maybe aren't as up to date on things that you've learned.
Do you have room to say that though, like as an intern?
I think it's, can you provide evidence? Like, do you come in with maybe research that shows that? Do you bring a textbook in that shows that? Even working entry level, there are times where you sit with like a boss who maybe got out of school 20 years ago. You have to have those hard discussions. I know for us, a lot of the times it was with our medical doctors because they ultimately get to write the prescriptions at that facility. And so you would have to go and try to stake your claim, like, this is why I think you should do this. But they're going based off of like, oh, well, the diabetic diet. And we're like, well, we're not really using that per se. We do more like consistent carbs, or so you have those conversations, but can you bring evidence? Can you show why that would be beneficial?
How did you also manage seeking volunteer experiences, working full time, as a dietitian?
Right. So for me, it was just making the sacrifice, and so I opted to do the 3 12-hour days. So 36 hours, it didn't affect my pay to the point where I couldn't budget and cover all of my bills. And so then it afforded me Thursday and Friday to be able to volunteer and get experience. And I know that looks different for everybody. So during internship, that was almost a 40-hour week. I was able to get experience prior to going to rotations. So a lot of times that looks like with sports, they may start at 5 a.m. So I would have from 5 a.m. to maybe 7 a.m. to go volunteer and then be at my rotation site for 8 a.m. want to say, probably the last thing that I think is important is just anything that you think you want to do, that you think aligns with what you want to do, absolutely go after it. Like, I wouldn't say don't pursue an opportunity. If it's for you, the door will open, you will walk through it, it will absolutely be for you. If it's not, that door may close, and it doesn't mean that it's not for you, it could just be delayed. But because of just personal experience, lived experience, I absolutely tell everybody now, like, apply for everything you think you want. I don't care if you get 3 acceptance letters, like, you get to then determine which best meets your needs. And so obviously do what's in your best interest, but go after everything you think you want to do.
It's so inspirational.
Any more questions? Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you.
On behalf of the club, we have picked out a nice gift for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem. And Dr. McKinley has my contact info. So if you ever want to reach out or stop by, absolutely, I'm on campus.
Yes, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Okay, so I'll make this quick as possible. These are the upcoming dates for the rest of the semester. We already have February picked out. Miss Catherine Bowie, the LSU dietitian. So that'll be interesting. Tracking experience, keep doing that, keeping vigilant with that, even if you're doing it with other student organizations or clubs around campus or Baton Rouge. Just keep doing that with lots of pictures. So Dr. McKinley will have awards to do at the end of the year.
Yeah, you're allowed to double dip. Someone asked me that.
Yeah.
Like logging service you did for us and logging with another club. I don't care.
Yeah.
Triple dip, quadruple dip. Like if you did the service, let us know about it.
Compound it as much as you can.
Yeah.
It's your time. Okay, so a reminder for the SNDA Spring Membership Drive. Grab a buddy, grab a friend, recruit them, and you'll get a point for the semester for your service award. Follow that link to sign them up. Make sure they put your name instead of somebody else or their name, because that could get confusing. And then kind of help them with dues, you know, where they can go Venmo or cash Dr. McKinley's office. A big perk is that the spring registration is only $10. So that's a big perk as well, to find somebody and buddy them up so they can have great experiences like with Ms. Johnson. Also, Tiger Tire mentoring. Did you want to take
Yeah, so Hannah has decided that she's going to reopen the form for mentee applications since we had some folks that had signed up to be mentors that didn't get matched with the student because we didn't have enough applicants. So if there are freshmen or sophomores or even juniors that feel like a senior would help them out in some way, go ahead and sign up to be a mentee, and then Hannah will work it out with those that are available. And then we'll have some sort of mentoring social. At some point this semester, we just got to figure out what's going to work best. And then during National Nutrition Month in March, we'll probably do this late in February. Encourage the mentoring pairs to do recipes together. We did that the very first year, and it worked out cute, so that we had stuff to post on social media during National Nutrition Month. So we'll send those details out to the program participants when we have it.
Do you think some seniors could sign up as mentors if there's a lot of mentees?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what comes in.
We'll see.
All right, so we're doing the scholarship opportunity that we've done the last couple of years to help with the costs of applying to internships in grad school. And so it's changed up a little bit this year since I want to make sure as many of our seniors can apply as possible. And so we'll have 3 award recipients who will get up to $115 to cover costs related to applying to grad school, internships, D&D, DICAS, what have you. So even if you applied pre-select and you only paid the small grad fee plus your transcripts, that qualifies you. Even if you're just applying to grad school, you can put the cost in of that. So the $115 would at least cover the $65 for D&D and the first $50 for DICAS. So if you're only applying, that helps with one program. And so you gotta be a senior, you have to have had applied, or are applying this semester. Have the minimum GPA 2.7, fill out the application, put in your little statement, answer all these questions, and put in there why it's important for you to receive that scholarship to help with paying for this, because it is an expensive process. And then based off of who we decide upon, then we'll work with those folks to figure out the dollar amount that you'll actually get. So this will go out via email. I have a couple of flyers if some folks want to take one this evening, but I'll send that out to all the seniors. So they have to be members of SNDA, yes, obviously. There are some seniors that are not.
So again, the sweatshirt and shirt sale are still going on. I know there isn't a medium sweatshirt left, and there's no double X shirts or sweatshirts left. So there's a little bit of everything else though. So if you want one, make sure you email Mr. Kinley what you want. Make sure you receive your payment within 24 hours. If not, it'll have to go back into the pool. But if you miss that, just email us again to see if it's still available, and then you'll be able to pay and pick that up from Dr. McKinley whenever you get a chance.
We have officially made a profit. So much. But once we sell it, we have made a profit. We did not lose money on the sweatshirts this year.
Nice. And they're cute, so get your merch.
They're very comfortable.
Also want to note the price change. T-shirts $20 still, but the sweatshirts are now $30 instead of the 2 for $40. A little ASA announcement. They're doing donuts next Monday from 8 to 10:30 by Wooden Hall. I don't know if it's like what donut is cream?
Krispy Kreme?
Krispy Kreme, yes. I don't know if it's Krispy Kreme or like Mary Lee's or
Probably Mary Lee's, right?
or does Bundt Cakes do donuts?
No.
No. Okay, I'll stretch.
No, they do plum cakes during like Ivy or something.
They
Okay.
do. They do
Yeah.
it during the
And it'll also be a chance, they're like doing kind of a club fair as well during this. They'll have flyers of clubs. I'm gonna send them some stuff for our club. If you wanna look at some other clubs and get involved and look for their volunteer opportunities to start tracking. And I think that'll be really fun, and you'll get a free donut on your Monday morning.
All right, so Land Annual Conference is in March. It's Thursday and Friday before spring break. So everyone is invited to attend. I'm canceling class, Barley Corn's canceling class. You will not have an issue attending with regard to class, and you'll be out before my class. Because we finish early on Friday. But we have half a day on Thursday and almost a full day on Friday. So students get a special rate. You just have to email the land@eatrightlouisiana.org from your LSU email to confirm that you are a student, and then Amy will give you a code, I believe, to fill out the registration, so you get the $55 rate. Or $65 if you're not a resident of Louisiana. But this is my baby. I'm president-elect, and my initiation to be president is to plan this entire conference. So I'm trying to make it good. So please come. There's interns coming from all the other programs. Fran U, Tulane is requiring their interns to come. So there'll be networking opportunities. And then folks from all over the state, that potential preceptors, potential professors in grad programs, things like that.
And there's a little bit of everything for everybody. Eating disorders, mental health.
Yeah, some of that's gonna change because I had 2 people drop out. Someone got pregnant, was like, I can't come, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what?
Okay.
You can come when you're pregnant. So I have to replace 2 of those topics. I can't remember which ones, but there'll
Okay.
be more interesting stuff. For sure.
More interesting. Okay.
All
Member
right.
of the month.
December.
It's Jessica.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I have to like stop some like very limited pictures you have on your social media.
Due to where I'm going, I'm like private it. Just kids with cultural now, so I
Your TikTok's not
don't really know that really to stop my daughter though. She is.
But thank you, Jessica, for always helping with fundraising. Keep up the good work.
And then
And January.
Lydia.
So far, Lydia, out of all the folks who haven't gotten member of the you had the highest points among those who hadn't gotten member of the month yet. So you're still getting beat out for year end by previous members of the month, but you're up there. So keep it going. Happy January. So log your stuff, because that's what I looked at. You get points for swag, you get points for recruiting, you get points for service. Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah, I keep track of any time you give me money or drawing tickets. tickets, fundraiser stuff, I keep track of it. But yeah.
Yay! Round of applause. Okay. Sign in.
Yes. No special.
Should I sit over here?
I got you, Cassie. I'm sorry, what's your name? Wait, actually you're in, maybe you're in Curtis.
I think she's under photos.
You are Curtis.
Yeah.